It's been a significant weekend for Hillary Clinton on the campaign trail. It started Friday with her remarks about Donald Trump's supporters and ended today with her health scare at the 9/11 memorial at Ground Zero. Joining us live with analysis tonight, Professor Jessica Levinson of Loyola Law School. Professor, thanks so much for your time tonight. First off, Donald Trump has repeatedly slammed Clinton over her health issues. He's been quiet so far after tonight's latest news. So how do you think this will play out on the campaign trail?
Well, this is not good for Hillary Clinton to, make the understatement of at least the day and probably the week and maybe even the month. I mean, about 24 hours ago, any discussion of Hillary Clinton's health was really something that, frankly, was a kind of a conspiracy theory, and it was the same people who were part of the birther movement, and now it's become part of mainstream discussion. And I think that this is another example of a Clinton unforced error, where she could have said on Friday, I had a cough, I saw a doctor, I've been diagnosed with pneumonia, and you know what, I need to slow down, and unfortunately I cannot be there for the 9/11 memorial. But I think she felt that there are these rumors out there about her health, and unfortunately she went. She did not feel well, and I think that this is now going to make her health something that's going to come up not just among certain people on certain blogs. It's now going to be something that we're going to see many more Americans pay attention to, and it will be on the forefront of the minds of some of the voters. And I think that a lot of people will be looking to how she seems on September 26th, the night of the debate. Does she seem healthy? Does she seem energetic? And I think that it's also important that people are now looking at the fact that these are the two oldest people who have ever run for office against each other. And Hillary Clinton has released some health records, but Donald Trump has released virtually nothing except a hyperbolic 4-paragraph letter. And so I think there may be a push for more transparency on both sides.
Now, it's very interesting, though, that Trump has not addressed this latest news about Clinton, as his assumptions have basically come to fruition. What do you think his motivations are behind that?
I'm not sure that his assumptions have come to fruition, but I do think that it feeds into his narrative that Hillary Clinton lacks the stamina to be president. But I think that Donald Trump has shown himself in a lot of ways to be kind of a Teflon candidate, where he can say, I'm really worried about Hillary Clinton's health. She doesn't have the strength. And, despite the fact that she was the most traveled Secretary of State in history. And I think that it's not gaining the traction for him to have to disclose his medical report, despite the fact that we know virtually nothing about his health. And so I think that people are also saying, we also don't know anything about his financial background. And so I've seen, in social media and in some of the newspapers already, people are saying, where's his medical report? And again, where are his tax returns?
Now, going back to Hillary Clinton's statements about deplorables, has she suffered, you think, significant backlash? And what do you think about Donald Trump's supporters? She has apologized, but how will those comments play among her base and among those crucial independents?
Yeah, it's almost impossible to think of it, but there are people who are undecided, and elections are really fought, obviously, just for this small center group of people who are the quote-unquote swing voters. And even though the two candidates are so different, there are this group of swing voters. And again, we only look to swing voters in battleground states. And I think that her comment is something that, frankly, in September of a presidential election, she realized that she had to apologize for. And we've seen these kind of gaffes in the past where, Obama said that people were clinging to their guns and religion, and Mitt Romney said that 47% of Americans who are going to vote for Obama, think that they're entitled to free food and health care, and, that those people are basically a loss. And this is a similar comment where she said, she did preface it by saying, I'm making a gross generalization, but the truth is you can't make that generalization. I think what's important, and I think that her base is listening to this, and I think his base is listening to this, is that she said, but there are people who support him who are deplorable. And so how is this playing? I think it's playing like everything else in the election. The people who are supporting her say she just spoke the truth, and the people who are supporting him say she is not fit to be president, and I cannot believe that she hates us, and she's just dividing Americans. So I think it's playing like everything else, where people are seeing the same event and they're interpreting in wildly different ways.
Well, continues to be a very exciting and interesting campaign for Campaign 2016, that's for sure. Thank you so much, Professor Jessica Levinson. Thanks for joining us tonight.